With every top 10 worst list, there must be the top 10 best. For every negative feeling, there must be the reiteration of the positives, and that's what we're here to talk about today. The best animes of 2017. And I'm not going to lie, people, this was a hard list to do. There was a lot of stuff that when I was really going through my anime list and was deciding what goes where, what belongs on here, what doesn't, there was a lot of stuff where it's like, wait, what, that? Like, there was a lot of shocking stuff this year that I was not expecting a lot out of and ended up loving, which to me is a testament to what's great about anime. That ability to take concepts that are maybe seem dumb to others and really go in that fascinating direction. It's what attracts me to the medium in the first place. So without further ado, let's get started. Also, I know some of these will trigger people and some of you might disagree with me. That's fine. Number 1 will piss a lot of people off. Coming at number 10 is the, wait, what, that's your award? Recovery of an MMO Junkie. I did not expect to love this. I was kind of avoiding it for a while because I'm used to these sort of video game loving, pandering anime that's just kind of like meh. This is not that. This feels like it's for adults and it's a great show about rediscovering yourself and reevaluating your life and then rebuilding yourself and what it means to meet people, what it means to have relationships with people in a virtual world and to transcend that into the real world. What is good about video games? What is bad about being a video gaming life? This is such a great small show that I really just loved that it was made, and I love the fact that it felt like it was for adults. I know a lot of people who deal with sort of issues going out into the real world and just kind of want to be in the virtual world, and this show makes just wanting to discover a life for yourself so great. I just loved it. Number 9 is Berserk. Still a controversial opinion, but I still love the Berserk anime. And I have started the manga too, and I really love that too. But this arc is interesting because it's much smaller and is not as grand as scale as last year's. This arc is more about Guts having to figure out how to take care of Casca. It is this really small story about this guy who's just trying to take care of a woman who is basically gone, and it's heart-wrenching at times, and it's fascinating to think about and to watch what he has to go through. And this is where I get into some spoilers. The scene at the second to last episode where Guts finds out there's a chance to bring Casca back to sanity, then he smiles. I thought I was going to lose it, man. Like, it was such a beautiful moment, and I just loved watching it, and I love the action still, and best comedy relief last episode for the season I think I've seen in a long time, so yeah, I love Berserk. Number 8 is the Just Plain Fun Award, 18IF. This series is a lot of fun. Like, I don't have anything else to put it. The animation is really fun, how it's different every episode. The show's not afraid to go in darker directions. It's not afraid to go in lighter directions. It's one of those shows where you feel like the people making it just had a good time making it. A fun adventure, and I understand this wasn't a very popular anime this year, partially because it wasn't really marketed. Also, at first glance, it does look like it's going to be just another generic weird shit show. And also, I can understand how many people might find it a little all over the place, but combined with its really crazy in every direction finale, I really just love this show, and I think you will too. Coming in at number 8 is proof that it was actually a really good year for romantic anime. Between Recovery of an MMO Junkie and honorable mention to Masamune-kun's Revenge and the capital off Kuzuno Haiki Scum's Wish. I loved this. This show has such a very interesting way of presenting bad relationships, good intentions, bad intentions. And it takes all these tropes we see in romantic stories and really flips on its heads to make a really great deconstruction of the genre. Combined with the fact that this really does feel like an anime for adults, tackling a lot of adult themes and showing off adult things like sexuality, like jealousy in a way that is more destructive as opposed to just sort of comedic. I really loved this series and thought it was a really fascinating show to watch and dissect. Number 6 is the Wait What Award. Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is fantastic. It's super funny, it's super clever, it's super witty, characters are super enjoyable. Kana's the queen of the memes for 2017, for Christ's sake. I really loved this show, and I wasn't expecting to. I really didn't expect anything from this. I thought it was just going to be another sort of Kyoto Annie fluff piece, and I don't like Kyoto Annie, but this show was fantastic, and it really is super funny and clever, and everyone watched it, and I would love for Kyoto Annie to go in this direction of more clever creative stuff. So I know normally I don't put things that are still ongoing on the list, but fuck it, it's my list, I can do whatever I want, and I want to talk about Ancient Magus' Bride. Oh, this is such a beautiful show. Visually, one of the most stunning things of the year, maybe the most. I loved the characters, I loved the story, and most importantly, I love that this is a show about self-worth. I love that this is a show about damaged people finding a place for themselves, and I love how it's beautifully shown through this very tragic character in the form of Chise and this weirdly lovable character in the form of Elias. Some people are saying the relationship is disturbing. I think it's important to remember that the show really isn't a love story, even though it's got the name Bride in the title. It really is this story about self-worth, like I said. It really is this series about discovering oneself and becoming someone you want to be. And I really think it's such a beautiful show. If you haven't, how have you not seen this? The beautiful Ghibli-inspired visuals, the gorgeous colors, the amazing animation. At the very least, watch this for the technicals, and also it's the ultimate proof that a sexy voice can make a character a husbando. Number 4 is the thing many people are declaring is not only the best anime of the year, but one of the best shonens of all time, and there's a reason for that. It kind of is both those things. My Hero Academia Season 2 is amazing. I loved Season 1. Season 2 was better in every regard. Amazing action, amazing character development, an amazing story, and really taking this superhero world. And even though this isn't a deconstruction, it actually deconstructs stuff in the superhero genre. The stuff with Todoroki is amazing. The stuff with Stain is fantastic. Just everything about this series is so incredible. I love Studio Bones. I love these characters. I love this story. There's a reason this is the biggest anime of the year. And honestly, this to me is a great anime to show someone who's never seen anime before. It's an easily accessible concept for people. It's really easy to just dive in. It's a fun watch, but it takes all these genre tropes and it takes this genre in general and just puts it into a whole new light and really does so much with it, with so much passion put into it and just so much smart writing and clever storytelling. You know you've already watched it. Show a friend. Everyone needs to see this. Number 3 is the receiver of the Feels Award. Little Witch Academia. I love this. I did a whole review about it when the show ended. Visually, I love the Trigger style. I love how fluid and how fast and how funny the animation is. I don't think there was really more than a couple moments of non-movement in this. It's such a beautiful looking show and just a funny series. Like, maybe the funniest show of the year for me. I mean, there's a lot of funny stuff. Kobayashi was amazing, but this is just such a lovely series. Akko has really come into one of my favorite anime protagonists ever the more I think about her. She really is an amazing lead, and there, like I said in my review, there's a moment in this where I thought I was gonna cry, dude. Like, it's such a great try-hard series and a really great show with a great message about following your dream and trying really hard and also implementing the modern day things that keep you from doing these things. We see a lot of things where the message is follow your dream. We don't see a lot of things that really explore the shit that can go with that is exclusive to today's world, but it doesn't feel dated in any way. A lot of this really feels like it is timeless. It feels like you could show this show to someone a few years from now and they will get it. There's a lot of high school based anime and stuff that try to tackle the current themes of the time that, though are respectable, do have a level of datedness to them. This doesn't feel like it will ever be dated to me. I think you could show this show to someone 20 years from now and they will still love it, because I still love it, and it's an amazing show, and Trigger's best, and it's why I can't wait for their new show to premiere next week. Number 2 and number 1 are completely interchangeable. Let me make that very clear. Honestly, this was the hardest part of the list, which one of these goes where, but ultimately I decided to give number 1 its spot just because I think it had more to prove. Food Wars has always been incredible, so needless to say, Season 3 is incredible, and I think it's incredible that the show takes on more challenges. You still have all the great elements coming in from the previous 2 seasons, such as the amazing writing, the really fun, lovable characters, the gorgeous animation, and the food porn. So going into this season, they had to build upon that. How do they do that? Let's introduce some legit villains, not just Eri being bratty high school bully. This was done incredible, and I was worried because usually shows that go from not having a villain to have a villain, it's hard to sort of get the viewer into that mindset, but they did it great here. Like, I really loved everything about how the villains are done. The Elite 10 are the right way you introduce these kinds of characters. There's such little nuance to how they behave to sort of tell you how they are. Blink and you'll miss it, but notice it and you will really get into these characters. Normally when you have the spoiled high school bullies who do that unthinkably bad thing, I mean, okay, they haven't like killed anybody yet, but when they do that, usually I find it hard to believe that they would make that jump. No, I totally buy that these people will do what they've done in this show. Like, it's just that well done. On top of that, they're all humanized very well as well. That is really what works, is you buy them as people, so when they are being villains, you believe that as well. And let's talk about the main villain for a minute. Edity's dad, I wasn't really that interested in, will the show pull off a villain? But they do. In that way, only Food Wars can. The villain in this is fantastic. He's so amazingly despicable and so frighteningly realistic. Like, you could kind of see this happening. Sort of the way they've set up who is Eddie and what is the mindset of this school. You can actually see how it would get to a point where a guy like this would exist. And that's kind of what I love about Food Wars, is that it walks that tightrope of ridiculousness and intelligence and realisticness perfectly. And I really loved everything about this. It's just fantastic, and it's only here because I think number one had more to prove. Speaking of which, number one, this will piss everyone off. I know it will. A lot of people didn't respond positively to this series, or just kind of missed it, which I totally understand. I get why why a lot of people are against it, but I can't help it. I loved this. Koitouso for me was amazing. We don't get a lot of these smaller sci-fi stories that are, here's a screwed up world. There is no fixing it. There is no replacing it. There is simply, how will these characters live and hopefully get a happy life out of it. Like, that's what I loved, is everyone in this could choose to go along with the system and be fine. Okay, except the one guy, but that doesn't really matter. But they don't. They want a life for themselves, and that is commendable and makes them instantly likable for me. But on top of that, when you get into the concept of this world where computers decide based on your statistics who you are meant to be with and find you someone you'll be happy with, that person gets there and you buy that as well. This show made me think so much about different things. It made me think about romance, love, what it means to care about someone, what it means to fall in love for yourself. Is it okay to accept someone if they are statistically who you should be with? Do we take that into account? There's a lot of online dating in the world today where we do just let computers decide who we should be with. Is this where the world is heading? It's not. It's a goofy sci-fi show. But I love these smaller concept sci-fis. I love the characters too. They're all actually really fun and they grow on you after a while. I like the visual style a lot. It really adds to it when things get screwed up. The big difference between something like this and Recreators is where both shows want to bring up philosophical concepts and deeper ideas, where Recreators spoon feeds everything to you. This show leaves a lot of it up in the air for you to decide for yourself. This is not an easy concept to talk about, and the show acknowledges this, and really, I just thought did it better than anything else this year. To address the criticisms really quickly, I do think a lot of it was that the show was mismarketed. On top of that, anything that gets stuck with anime strike over on Amazon really is doomed to be forgotten. On top of that, the show at first glance does look generic, and also, like Pandemic Romantic said, a lot of people feel like the show doesn't truly take advantage of this concept. I respectfully disagree, but I understand why. Again, smaller science fiction like this isn't that common, and it can get boring at times, but I felt like this show was a lot of fun. If it wasn't making me feel screwed up, like seriously, there are several moments in this where my jaw was dropped by just how fucked up this anime was, and it doesn't feel the need to overly beat you over the head with it, but it's done in such amazing subtle ways that I loved this. And finally, this thing will probably not get a season 2 because it was not very popular. There's been a lot of anime I've watched and liked that where I understand this. I never follow the source material. I'm reading the manga for this. I'm getting up to date on this. I loved this show so much. I'm like, I gotta see what happens next. I know it's not going to get a second season. Well, probably won't. Well, now that I've said it, it probably will now. But I had to see where this happens. I had to see where this goes. This thing turned me into a manga reader. Okay, that and Berserk. But I gotta know what happens next, and this story is incredible. But what did you think? In the comment section below, tell me what you thought about anime in 2017, because this was a really interesting year, or it became more interesting as more good stuff came out. I know people will disagree with this list, but tell me what you liked. It's all subjective, and all answers are valid. So tell me that below, and as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and can't wait to see where anime goes in 2018.